Hey everybody, welcome back to Mary Bird's Backyard Garden. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mary.
And we're here again with our weekly podcast on the backyard garden of Mary Bird's.
Welcome back, Jeff.
Yes. Well, thank you, Mary. I'm glad you're having me back.
Welcome back in the garden.
Hey, we've been a little bit busy in the garden this week. You put me to work a little bit. Kind of made sure I could still lift things. So got to keep that going, making sure I'm still viable for you there in the garden. Still a good guy. And I know you'll get into that. But before we do, Mary, what's new in the garden?
Well, this week we did pretty well. We got a brand new container garden in, which I was excited about. We ordered a metal raised bed garden from Vigo, and we had these two trellises that we have battled with for about 3 years. Every time we would put the trellises up, they would fall over. So I decided I was going to move them. They had a cross vine that was growing on them, and it's huge, a huge, huge vine. So originally we had 3 trellises, but I only made you move 2.
Yes. And I know we've been talking about how hard our terrain is here and that we can't go in the dirt at all. So, yes. I mean, we tried with those trellises. We tried putting those spikes at the end to try to get them in.
Fence T-posts.
We've tried everything, and we just couldn't. I mean, honestly, we couldn't get them in. I mean, there was always some area where we'd run into a bunch of rocks. So they were either crooked or they just weren't steady. So they were starting to fall over a little bit. A little
breeze, and they collapsed.
Yeah, but you had the great idea to get a raised bed, the Vigo raised bed, and we put that up. And I'm sure you're going to explain.
I'm just very happy with the color that we chose.
Yeah.
It's sort of a soft, tannish yellow, and I like it because it's not like neon bright. And it blends really well with the rusted metal of the trellises. And the trellises have been really beautiful. I've enjoyed them.
Yeah, no, this was my.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to put together the raised bed, but that actually
hard?
It wasn't hard. I put it together.
Mastermind.
You know, I will say there are an awful lot of screws in that thing. It's not hard. I would be lying if I said it was hard. But man, there are a lot of screws putting that thing together. Mm-hmm. It takes a long time because there's so many panels. There's two large side panels on each side, and then there's 2 rounded to kind of fill it out. But there's a lot of screws and nuts on those things.
It is a container that you get to choose what shape you eventually want to end up with. And we decided on the 2.5 by 9.5 feet. I think
that's what it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did the bigger one so we could put both trellises in it.
Yes.
Yeah,
we did.
There's a lot of just gonna let you know, lots and lots of screws and nuts on that.
Did you find a workaround that was, as you were working on it? Did you find a helpful tip that was shortened?
It's pretty basic. I mean, it's honestly, I have a little battery powered screwdriver, and there's no easy way. I mean, you just
have to stick with it.
You just have to hold the bolt, hold the nut, put the screw in, but there's a lot. I'm just going to say it again. There's a lot.
I do have to say I'm very happy with the vinyl topper, that goes around the edge of the container and makes it where it's not sharp.
Yeah, that was nice. And we've had one before that wasn't quite as nice as that. This was really nice. And it's very sturdy. I mean, we put it together. We put it in place. It's not heavy. It doesn't have a bottom to it, obviously. So we put it back in place, and then...
and we firmed up the trellises, which is very nice.
We did. Well, you put some debris and some stuff on the bottom, right?
Yes, I guess I'm a fan of a hogel culture type situation where you put larger pieces of wood in the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the hogel. And you went hogel on me.
Over time, it breaks down and acts like a water holding sponge. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
That worked out, though. It worked out because the trellises had to, we were able to kind of get them in even. Mm-hmm. And then you had me carry lots and lots of bags of dirt, and that was awesome.
True.
It wasn't bad. They were big, and they were probably 50-pound bags each, but it wasn't bad. We had our little wagon that we had. They were wagging them back there, and then
the gorilla cart is working out.
The gorilla cart did really well. Mm-hmm. So we were able to put I put 4 bags in each run from the car or from the truck, and then we went back there. I lifted them into the garden, and we cut it, and then just kind of put it in. And the trellises are rock sturdy right now. We didn't have to use, we were thinking initially we might have to do something with a little concrete, put them, the feet in those, and this was a lot. This was a lot easier.
It was easier.
Yeah, so it came out good, and I think we do get a little bit of wind, so I think we're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And now you get
we have planted.
Yes, I was going to say now you get to plant it.
Yes. So last year we grew this little vine by accident. Really, it's called a cardinal vine, or I think it might also be called a cypress vine. And when it initially began to sprout, it looked kind of strange. And the leaf is almost like a hand with these little sharp fingers that stick out. Each leaf sort of looks like this. And I kept asking you, I don't know. What is this? I don't know what this is. But then at the end of summer, during the hottest part of the year, it just exploded with the most brilliant red blooms.
Yeah, it was really nice, really pretty.
So beautiful and very prolific. And the blooms lasted weeks and weeks. And so we put that in there. And I had some seeds of a black-eyed Susan vine, so I put those in there. And you planted a Diplandia.
I did.
Today.
Yeah, okay. I'll go with you on the name. I had a plant that was just sitting there, so yeah.
Yeah, and we put in one daylily, and we put in lots of other seeds.
A lot of seeds.
For annual flowers.
A lot of seeds. So it should be really nice back there. I think
very nice.
It's going to be... It's going to work out well. Very happy with that. I am happy with
the way it came out. Yeah, I really like the looks of it.
I am too. And that was the first time I have used the gorilla cart, and I can't recommend that enough. Over an actual wheelbarrow. It was a lot easier. I mean, I probably had 200 pounds of bags on there each run, and it was very easy to pull. Yeah. So nice.
Yeah. I'm so glad. I didn't realize that was the first time you had used it.
Yeah, I hadn't used it. I mean, I put it together, and then you played with it and did stuff, but I hadn't used it. So I was very happy with it. A lot easier than the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, very much.
Well, good. What else you got?
Yeah. Oh, well, I was looking through the garden, and we've been talking this week about how much everything is just filling out and just looks really lush and beautiful. Our fig tree is covered with figs. It's just covered with figs.
It does, and that is an extremely fast growing.
It is fast growing.
That thing is crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm impatient, but that thing comes through.
Unfortunately, we planted it. It was one of the very first things we ever planted, and I don't think I kept the tag. I'm not sure what the variety is, and I'm not really too sure about how to get those figs to ripen. So we don't know what it is, but it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, maybe you know what? Maybe we'll get our chef's son over and have him take a look at them when they get a little further along, and maybe he knows. I don't know.
Yeah.
He might know what they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of birds visiting the backyard, and they are eating us out of house and home because we can't keep the bird seed in the bird feeders. And the plants are just really, really doing very well. So.
They are. And it is really nice to sit on the porch in the morning.
Oh, my goodness,
and just watch the birds. And there's so many birds that have come. It's been a challenge keeping the feeders full.
It is.
But
Entertainment.
It is very much entertainment, just kind of sitting back there in the morning and watching them. So that's nice. And then the garden you have is all full, like you said. So it's very nice and quiet and serene out there in the mornings.
Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, nice.
Well, that brings us to the topic of the day.
And what would the topic of the day be, Mary?
Well, I think that you had brought up this subject out of the blue. It might have been at the beginning of last year. And you said, Mary, have you ever heard of a pocket prairie? And I said, why no, Jeff? What is it? And we sort of scattered some seeds out there, and it worked out really nice. I enjoyed it very much. And we have some areas of our backyard that are sort of leaning towards pocket prairie growth. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that would be a really cool subject for today.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love the way it looks. It's kind of got a little bit of a wild look. Mm-hmm. And it's nice. So, yeah. So tell us a little bit about pocket prairies.
It is sort of got that wild look to it. Pocket prairies are interesting, and they're really important in our climate and in our how we have a lot of neighborhoods now. We don't have a lot of open spaces, but pocket prairies, they can be as tiny as you want them to be. You could grow one plant in a container that is pollinator friendly, and then you could try to go up as large as you want to, as you feel like you're capable of growing. But generally, people grow small little areas in their yard that they could get into and enjoy. And part of it is where you really identify all the different pollinators and the beneficial organisms that come into your yard. And so there really are their habitats and their own ecosystem, and they're important for us. So really nearly 1/3 of like the United States and up into Canada was a grassland prairie. And historically, they would have grasses where when the people came and they were riding on horseback, they could actually gather the grass and hold it over the top of the saddle of the horses. And the thing about that is that it encouraged very deep topsoil. The roots would grow down into the topsoil, and in some spots, not everywhere, but they could go down as deep as 10 feet into the topsoil.
Wow.
And they're very important because what you want to do is incorporate organic matter into our soil and bring life to the soil. And so mostly the prairies are composed of lots and lots of grasses, some flowering herbaceous plants that have broader leaf to them perhaps, and then just a few trees. Trees kind of grow along the edges or sporadically throughout the grassland, the prairies. And if you stop and kind of think about it, they grew in open, sunny areas where they kind of had a wind that would sweep across them. Everywhere from Canada to Central and South Texas, kind of the middle of the United States. And, today we want to emulate some of that. We want to start out small and research some types of plants and I'll talk about some plants that are good to start out with here in a little bit, and research what looks good to you and start with maybe 3 to 5 of those plants and group them together. And you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You don't want to tear everything up because that will just end up being a nightmare. So start small. You want to focus on grasses. Grasses are super important. And the reason that you want to group your plants together is that you'll be able to conserve the energy of the pollinators and hummingbirds and other wildlife that come into your yard. They flit from plant to plant to get their food. And so you're kind of going to concentrate their habitat and their nectar close together so they don't have to expend so much energy to get to it. And so in our situation, we've sort of already designated some spaces that follow those guidelines. They're open, they're sunny, they don't have trees covering over them. But if I was going to begin again, I would tell someone to walk around your home. Look at the side yard, your front yard, if you're able to do that in your neighborhood, your backyard. See where a little pocket prairie might fit in. And you want it to be sunny. You want it to have some good drainage to it. You want it to have a water source. You want to be able to water it as you're establishing your little pocket prairie. But it will, people plant these pocket prairies between the road and the sidewalk in that little strip of ground that doesn't get any water. So after they get established, it'll be a low water and really a low maintenance type of garden. So in my opinion, because I am interested in feeding the soil life, as your plants sort of go over and you want a different plant to come in and replace it, I kind of like trimming off the tops and letting the top of your plant kind of fall on the ground so it could feed all the microbes and the earthworms and everything down there. You might want to chop it up a little bit. And then before you just run out and buy a whole bunch of stuff, how about getting out some graph paper and graphing out the footage that you want to use? Or you might even be able to glue some pictures on a vision board. And then I would think that would be a really good thing to do. Look for some catalogs out there that are honestly promoting native seeds. And look for catalogs that will promote some of the flowers that are very important for bees and things like that are not double. That means they don't have multiple rows of petals. They just have a single petal that opens. And I've noticed we have several roses that fall in that category, and they get much more attention from the bees and the other insects that we have in the yard.
That's interesting.
Also, like I said, you're going to water in the beginning. And when you're putting in your plants, look for, start out with groupings. And you do want to kind of get your area pretty much weed-free. Like we have Bermuda grass and so forth. And so it's always a challenge for us. But once the plants begin to thrive, they won't really allow a lot of room for the Bermuda grass to creep in. It'll be pretty easily maintained over time. And you want to just try to control the competition from plants that you don't want around them, like the Bermuda grass. And one of the most important things that you're going to do is to take time to notice what's coming into your yard. I don't know all the species that come into our yard, but we have lizards that hightail it across the grass, and we have we do have a toad that lives in our yard.
We do, yeah. Yeah, we had the giant, which we don't see a lot of here. Is we have a lot of bees. That is really cool pollinators, but we very rarely see those really big bumblebees. That remember I told you I saw one the other day.
Beautiful.
I mean, it was just huge, but it was over there in the little pocket prairie.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
yeah, so it's really. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of lizards, and I'm sure we have more than one toad, to be honest with you. I don't know what else could
Sometimes
be
I
in there.
hear them singing.
Yeah, and we have, tons of birds, so,
Oh, yeah, the birds, they've been great.
Yeah, it's really nice. It very much attracts them, I think, in there. And it's kind of cool to look at. I mean, I like it. Different colors and different sizes of things and stuff. So it's really neat.
Actually, I have to say that when I think of like, oh, we're going to plant a wine cup, or, oh, we're going to plant a cornflower. So those are some of the things that have come up from our mix this year. I never expected them to be as tall as I am.
Yeah, there's some tall stuff out there.
They are.
Yeah.
Very surprising.
Yeah, it's really cool though. It's really, like you said, it's really cool. It does attract a lot of. There's a lot of activity out there, which is really neat. Like I said, when we're sitting in the porch, you can watch the birds and the lizards, and you can hear the frogs and see the bees. So it's really cool. And
so that's what you want to do.
Nice.
You want to become an observer of nature.
Yes, and that's to me that's why we do it, so we can enjoy it.
Yes.
Right.
And one of the things that is important to realize is that you are planting this to support a lot of wildlife.
Right.
Your plants are going to get eaten. That is what they are really, that's part of their function. So if you plant fennel, which I love to grow fennel, and you go out one day and the whole thing is covered with caterpillars, well, that's the swallowtail butterfly that is eating your fennel, which
right.
that's their
that's
food
what they do.
source. That's what they do. So if there are things that you want to protect, see if you could grow them under a cover, and then in another part of your yard, plant the milkweed or the fennel, or plant some of those plants that are going to be food for the larvae.
Absolutely,
and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Very, very good point. Nice.
Very nice.
Well, that was great on the Pocket Prairie. Yes, please. What else do you have?
I do want to just mention why this would be important.
Yeah.
So in our climate, we really want to hold on to organic matter in our soils. And honestly, if we could hold on to the organic matter in our soil, and we could only increase it by 1%. So just 1% is like barely anything, right? You're going to increase the water holding capacity of your soil by 4%. And you're going to compound that over time, because as the roots grow and die, that's adding organic material. And as your plant falls over, or, like in our bunching grasses, our muleys and things like that, I have to cut them off at the very end of winter and the beginning of spring before the new growth starts. And so all of that matter, as it goes back into the soil, you're just increasing the life in your soil. And that's just what we need to do. We need to hold on to the water that falls on our yards.
Right.
And things like that. We don't want soil erosion. And so some of these native plants that are perennial, your grasses and everything that really send down their roots, they're going to work their way through the soil. If you have a sandy soil and you get these microbial activities going, you're going to encourage aggregation, which is holding that's the soil particles gathering and gluing themselves together that surround the roots of your plants. And the more you can do that, the more you're going to hold onto your water. You're going to stop erosion. You won't have runoff of, let's say you do happen to use a plant food, which I would tend to go try to feed naturally, but you won't have runoff of the nitrogen that's going to go out into our wastewater systems and cause problems. And so, those are some really important things for us to try our best to remember and help our ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point.
So,
Very nice. Yeah.
Yes.
I like it.
Do you have a few plants to recommend?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Cool.
Yeah. What do you recommend for the
planting
plants?
in your pocket prairie? Well, in our yard, we have really enjoyed our muley grasses.
We have. Mm-hmm. They're actually pretty cool. Yeah. They grow pretty tall and thick.
Yes, they do. And those plumes are just gorgeous all winter, right? So we have big muley, and we also have coastal muley, Gulf muley, which has a pink plume to it. And we also, this year, I've planted some bamboo muley, which is not a bamboo. It is an actual part of the muley grass family. Some other grasses, because they're very important, are little blue stem and also big blue stem. You could have Indian grass and also side oats grama grass. Those are some names of a few grasses that are ornamental, and they're clumping grasses. So it's not like a Bermuda that's going to run rampant all over your yard. And they're beautiful. And so if you would like to plant some of your flowers, so we definitely have the blue mist flower, which I've talked about before, and your penstemon is a really good one. And also a flower that comes up and blooms along our highways is called, Indian blanket is one of the common names for it. And so that's a very nice prairie plant. You've got your echinacea, or in other words, cornflower, purple cornflower. And you might try planting butterfly milkweed. There are quite a variety of milkweeds. I tend to try not to get the tropical one. This one is Asclepias tuberosa. And so there's a couple of milkweeds that are pretty specific. And we do plant a lot of coreopsis in our yard. They are beautiful, those bright blooming yellow ones. And then one of them that I love, we grew it for a long time, but it's kind of died out right now, is called the prairie blazing star. And it grows up this tall spike with purple that starts blooming at the base and works its way all the way up the stem.
Nice.
So those are a few that you could start out with.
Very good. Good recommendations. And I know we have a lot back there. Like you said, I think you've put quite a few of those back there.
Yes. We put in, cosmos. I was very surprised at the cosmos. I had never grown it before. I had no idea that it would grow so tall. A lot of them, if you'll go in and you'll deadhead, you could continue the bloom cycle for much longer into the season. I mean, I think our cosmos was actually blooming last year into the beginning of August.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And can you think of any of the others that are back there?
Well, I'm not good on the names, so I know there's a lot of color back there. And there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of different sizes, but it's really pretty. I mean, it's really nice. It's kind of got a little bit of a wild look, which is, different from some of the other areas that we have. And I like it. I mean, I like the prairie look.
Mm-hmm. One of the little ground covers that I've loved in the front yard that I've been surprised at can also fit in here. It's called a silver ponyfoot or a dichondra repens, I think it is. And I've noticed that it really does have a lot of activity going on in it too.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, I would love to hear back at some point from people that have given this idea a try.
Absolutely, it would. Yeah, we'd love to have some input back from you guys and see if you give it a try. Like I think, like Mary said, you don't have to take half your your lawn or anything,
No.
or half your garden. Just take a small piece of it and give it a shot and see. It's very helpful for the wildlife, and it's very pretty, and it's kind of cool just to see the activity that's there.
It is.
Yeah, really neat.
I agree.
Okay. Very good. Well, I had I had one thing I was going to talk about.
Yes.
So, we did say a couple of podcasts back that we would just add a little food or drink element into it. And I'm going to do a food one this time.
I love it.
And I'm going to talk about the jalapeno pepper. So I am growing jalapeno peppers. But I also like to make what I like to call the jalapeno torpedoes on the grill. And
Delicious.
I did, and I got the recipe from our son, the chef. But I like to buy the really big jalapenos, and then just cut the end off that's got the stem, and then just clean it out. You just take a small spoon or whatever you have and clean out and get the seeds and everything out and kind of hollow it out. And then I use a little bit of sour cream or cream cheese. Cream cheese.
Interesting.
Some cream cheese, and I season it with some, onion and garlic powder and some other seasoning, whatever season to your taste. And then I like to buy the bulk sausage. The bulk mild sausage.
Okay. Mild Italian?
Yeah,
Is
the
that the
bulk
one?
mild
Okay.
Italian sausage. You want to cook that a little bit. You don't want to just put it in there raw, because it may not cook totally through when you're cooking this. But kind of cook it up and get it browned, and then put a little bit of the cream cheese in, and then fill it with the sausage, and then put a little more cream cheese on the out and to kind of fill it out. So
Yes.
so you have cream cheese, then you have a little sausage and a little cream cheese, and then you take a piece of bacon and you roll the bacon around the jalapeno and put some I used the little toothpicks in there to hold it, and I put them on the grill. Usually have the grill at about 350 400. You have to watch them. It's not one you can just kind of walk away from, but because the bacon on there is going to spill into the, when it starts cooking, it's going to create some flames.
I
So
see.
if you can diffuse those with however you cook them, you can use some kind of diffuser on the grill. You can use that and just kind of let them cook, get the bacon cooked. You get the jalapeno nice and cooked as well. And they're really
they're
good.
outstanding.
And you can cook those in the oven as well. You could do the same exact thing and put them in the oven and kind of let them cook. The main thing is you want to make sure that the bacon's cooked. The jalapeno is going to cook naturally, kind of with the
Right.
bacon.
I like the way you get them. The jalapenos they're starting to get a little darker, but they still have a snap when you bite into them.
Yeah. So they're great. I mean, they taste fantastic.
They do.
And we've had it a couple times already this year. I've made them a couple times, and they're good. They're snacky. So if you have people over, or if you just want to make some for yourself, put them on the grill, put them in the oven.
And some of the times we've had more than we have finished
Yes.
at that meal, and they are wonderful the next day.
They are actually really good the next day. We heated them up the next day, and you can eat them again. So there's something to do with jalapeno. I mean, I think there's some other things. People pickle the jalapenos, which I've never done. That might be something to try.
Oh, that'd be great to
Yeah,
try.
I don't think it's really hard to do, but you can certainly pickle them, and then obviously you can make salsa out of them. I mean, everybody likes to put that in salsa as well. So a lot of things you can do with the very flexible jalapeno. So there.
Applaud you. That was terrific.
Yeah, and I'll put my little recipe in the blog when we put the update the website. So
good.
Yeah,
That's
I'll add it
great.
in there. It's not hard. I mean, basically just explained it. But
well, the seasoning that we use, I never say the name right.
I don't either, and that's why I didn't say it. Tony Charcuterie,
We always say charcuterie, but that is incorrect. But it is a Cajun spice blend.
It is, and it's really good in there.
So good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll put that in there as well.
Okay.
That was what I had. That was my my contribution.
I like that
for you today.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right. What else you got?
Well, I was talking earlier about making a vision board, and that got me thinking that it's been a while since I sat down and did any graphing in our garden and creating any idea layouts. So I was inspired to give that a try this coming week, perhaps.
Okay.
And I was thinking it'd be really fun to cut out pictures of the plants that I want. So usually when I graph, I'm looking down from an aerial viewpoint at a flat garden. But sometimes I think it would be helpful to be able to look, what do you say, horizontally? I don't know. What would you say? As though I'm sitting in front of the garden and seeing the height of the different plants and where their positions are. And so I thought maybe a mood board or, I don't know, a vision board, whatever it is, might be helpful and cut out pictures of the plants and glue them. See how that turns out.
Well, nice.
So that might be one thing I'm going to try this coming week.
Well, you'll have to update us next week on how the mood/vision board went.
My mood and vision. I hope it aligns.
I'm sure it will. Well, cool. That was a lot of good information. That was really cool on the Pocket Prairie. I've really enjoyed looking at it. I think it's been really cool, and it's like I said, it's great to see the wildlife and just all the creatures out there and going and enjoying it. So that was a good thing. We did a good thing there. All right.
I love it too.
Well, looking forward, what do you think? What do you think about next week? What are we going to talk about? You have any ideas? I mean, we're going to get an update, obviously, on the mood/vision board.
Yes. Well, our daughter always talks about doing a mood board.
Yes.
So it got me inspired to give it a try.
There you go.
I think I'm sort of interested. I don't know if it'll be next podcast, but I'm interested in doing a further research in growing the bougainvilleas that we purchased recently. I think it's a different sort of plant that from what we've usually grown, and so that's where I am. Do you have anything that you're interested in?
I'm going to come up with something. I'm not sure right now.
I'm going to be looking forward to it.
I'm kind of killing the pepper thing to death. I think I got to move on to something different. Peppers and roses.
I have to say the tomatoes that I brought out of the garden today were amazing.
Yeah. I don't eat the tomatoes, but they did smell really good.
Yeah. They were beautiful. Oh, such diversity that I'm getting. I've planted them from seed this year. And of course, theoretically, I understand that our season doesn't last throughout the whole summer, but maybe I can eke them out as long as they'll grow then plant some more in the fall.
That sounds great.
We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, looking forward to your update next week, and I'll come up with something. I don't know yet.
Nice.
I'll have to put a thought on it. I'll do a little mood/vision. No, I don't think
please
I
do.
probably won't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I probably won't do that, but I will come up with something. All right. Hey, again, we really appreciate you guys joining us here every week on the podcast, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. And we would love to hear from you if you have any input or any kind of feedback, or just want to kind of say, hey, look in the show notes. You can get our social media sites. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, and we do have our website. So, guys, please give those a look if you would like, and provide us some feedback. And if you like the podcast and wouldn't mind giving us some stars out there, we would appreciate that as well. Other than that, we appreciate you guys being with us today.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys next week here at Mary Bird's Backyard Garden.
Happy gardening.
Bye.